brilliant speed with vibrant service, vibrant broadband internet.
It's 10:30 or just about, and it is that time again when we present Vibrant You.
That means it's just about Vibrant You time.
Yes, you got it.
Thank you, Jeff, for having us. My name is Shane.
And I'm Nathan.
Jeff, I got a question for you. How many email addresses do you have?
How many do I have?
Yeah, email addresses.
Just for me?
Mm-hmm.
Two.
Two, okay. One for work, one for home, kind of a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A lot of people, they want to switch internet providers, but they feel stuck with their email address.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your email address, your personal one, is that like a Gmail account or a...
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yep. So today we're going to talk about email services, what to do about your logins, and also how they handle spam. Nathan's going to start us out with what email services are.
Yeah, so first we'll kind of define them for those people that aren't super familiar. I believe probably most people listening have email, but may not really understand what it is. So email address is kind of like a physical address where you can receive mail, digital mail essentially. So think of, getting your mailbox, getting letters in the mail. Email was designed to send information, advertisements, direct messages, communications over the internet digitally. So you have an email address. That's how people send something to you. It might be your name, at suchandsuch.com. There's a lot of different things you can use for email. Basically, you can access it via a browser, like a web-based email, or nowadays with your smartphone, you may be accessing it through like an app, a dedicated app on your phone for email, your Gmail app, your iCloud email, all kinds of stuff. But it basically exists to provide reliable communication for personal use. Almost everybody seems to have a personal email. Professional use, you may have like Woody mentioned, a professional or business email as well. Your provider, your employer may provide you a separate email that's just for your work as your job. So no matter what you do, it's basically what you use. And the great thing is they're accessed via the cloud. So you can be anywhere in the world as long as you have internet access, and you can access your mailbox for the most part. You can send and receive messages no matter where you are, as long as you have an internet connection. Email is still kind of the backbone of online identity. It's kind of how we identify ourselves online when it comes to your account signups or logins, how to reset your passwords, receipts, alerts, official communications. When I go to Walmart and purchase something, it sends a receipt to my email address. It's just a way to identify yourself and communicate. So the top 5 email services, probably the biggest, most popular one that I see nowadays is Gmail, which is owned by Google. G stands for Google. Gmail is extremely popular, probably the most common in the world. It offers large free storage via Google Drive. So it's where I have like all my photos backed up. I have files. They have excellent spam filtering. We'll talk more about spam in a minute. And categorizing emails, a lot of great features, a lot of great security, and its deep integration with other Google services like Google Docs, Calendar, Google Meet, and so many other Google things. If you're in the Google world, Gmail is kind of essential. One of the next most popular ones is Outlook. Outlook.com, owned by Microsoft. Obviously, Microsoft has been in the game for a long time with great integration for your Microsoft products like your Office, your Windows, your Excel, PowerPoint, OnePush or SharePoint, I think it's called. All the great tools through Microsoft. Again, really good spam and phishing detection. So it's going to be a lot more secure than your typical email that you may get otherwise.
Yeah, a few more. Yahoo Mail. That's another good one. They have a large free storage limits as well. And they're useful for, like if you have it, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but have that as a secondary email to track newsletters or shopping, emails, things like that. But a cool feature with Yahoo Mail, they have built-in disposable email addresses. And sometimes these are called aliases, but you can have a temporary or throwaway email. So let's say you're interested in something, you see an ad on Facebook and it says, give us your email and we'll send you this information. Well, you can kind of put that disposable email address in there, and it goes to your regular email box, but it's something that you can delete later if you just, I'm not interested, and then you don't want them to keep sending you stuff and they won't take you off their list, like sometimes it'll happen. ProtonMail, that's another one. They have a free tier, and it's very privacy focused. So like, for example, Gmail, Outlook, and Yahoo, they're going to, kind of track your habits as far as your shopping habits so that they can show you ads that kind of, pertain to your likes and things like that, where ProtonMail is pretty basic. They're not going to have any of those things that track you, so they're very privacy focused. And they're actually based in Switzerland, so they have strong data protection laws over there. But they do have limited storage, but excellent security. And then, of course, they got paid for tiers that you can just upgrade your storage and things like that. Zoho Mail, that's another one that you hear a lot of. They have a very simple interface. They're used by a lot of small businesses or individual professionals, because you'll hear of Zoho Mail as another one of the top 5. So what do these services offer? Well, they have inbox organization. So they label the emails like advertisements, promotions, shopping, important, things like that. They have strong sorting. They have tabs for, like I said, the social and promotion, things like that. They have security features like spam and phishing detection. So they'll scan your emails, check for malware. They also offer two-factor authentication. So that's just another way that if somebody happens to try to get your email account, you have a code come to your phone and says, hey, you're trying to access your Gmail. Are you doing this? Put this code in, and you didn't ask for that code. Ignore it, so that way, because somebody else actually is trying to get in. They have powerful search tools, so they will allow you to search like old emails. I remember getting an email from somebody, but I don't remember when that was. You can type in a search tool, and then it'll pull up all those emails and look for those quickly. And then you can access them through different things like a web browser, your phone, tablet, or any other device, and then they sync across all those devices. Mm-hmm. So, like, where if you have an ISP email, some of the older ISP email addresses, they don't allow all that to happen. So when it downloads your email to your phone, it downloads to other devices, your computer or whatever. It doesn't always sync across those devices. Nathan's going to go into how they are different from ISP emails.
Yeah, and ISP, for those that don't know, is basically your internet service provider. So whoever you have for your internet provider at home, whether it's Vibrant or another provider, some providers, at least back in the day when kind of internet was a little bit newer to people, home internet, I should say, your internet provider may have provided you an email account. This is how a lot of people got their first email accounts because, worldwide email like Gmail and stuff maybe weren't around at the time or weren't as popular. So when you sign up for an internet service for the first time, you might have got an email address that's associated with that provider. These often have pretty basic features and very limited storage. They were kind of, like I said, the first, a lot of people got emails, but they are really basic. They don't have a lot of the same filtering options, a lot of the same features that you might get like a Gmail or an Outlook or some of these other ones. Again, one of the other big issues is that email address is often tied to that service. So if you ever end up wanting to change providers, your internet service, or you move away and you need to get a different provider, you may lose access to that email that you've had for a long time. So it can be pretty inconvenient to switch emails. If you have given that email out a lot of places and you use it for a lot of logins, you may be kind of tied to that. So maybe not the best option, but like I said, it was one of the first options, so a lot of people may still have it. The independent email services that we talked about, the third parties, your Gmails, Yahoos, that aren't tied to your internet service, these are going to have more features, more security. They're going to be kind of more reliable, and then the best part is they're global. It doesn't matter where you live, what internet provider you have, whether you have internet service at all at home, you can still keep that internet service because it's not tied to your provider. That's kind of some of the key differences. Like I said, a lot of people started with their internet provider's email, but you may want to branch out. We'll talk more about that in a second as well. So how do they handle spam? And when we're talking about spam, what does spam mean? Spam is, you can think of it kind of like quote unquote junk mail that you might get in your regular mail. It's generally unwanted or unsolicited mail, often sent in bulk. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's all junk. Some of it might be legitimate promotions or advertisements from services or providers that you're interested in getting, but some of it also may be scams or phishing attempts, malware, and have some bad stuff in them as well. So spam filters is very important. Why does spam exist? It's cheap and easy to send. You can send it, like I said, in bulk. You can send it to thousands upon thousands of emails at one time. And even if you get a very small response, it can be pretty profitable, especially for scammers. Like I said, not all quote unquote spam mail or junk mail is junk. It might be legitimate advertisements from services you're interested in, but the term spam kind of refers to this general way of receiving mass amounts of email that you didn't necessarily request.
Yeah, some of those messages that are spam, but then they don't look like spam. They might be an advertisement or something. You might get an email and you go, I didn't sign up for this email. Well, your email is on a list, and that list got sold somewhere, and somewhere along the line you agreed to have that email put on a list. So now all of a sudden you're getting all these messages from maybe companies that you've never dealt with before, and that could be considered spam. But like Nathan was talking, like if you do sign up and you do want to get that newsletter from this company, that's not spam, even though you might get several newsletters a week from that company. So just kind of think it that way. But these services, they handle spam by using automated filtering, and that's like machine learning, or just, I guess, call it AI. Right? So it just knows that, okay, this sender typically sends spam, or this is a phishing email because it goes through and scans through the email. So it filters it that way. It uses user feedback. Like if you mark an email as spam, then it remembers that. Oh yeah, this sender is spam and they don't want this, and it moves it into a spam email inbox. And then they use other tools that legitimize senders, reduce spoofing and phishing, and things like that. They use better categorization so that, again, they can tell the difference between, is this a promotion? Is this a update from your social feeds like Facebook or X or that kind of thing? Is it actually a scam or spam, or is it an important email, and it puts that in different tabs in your email box? And ISP emails are usually more basic, like Nathan was talking about. They will offer you email, but they don't have the staff nor the personnel to put out these robust features in their email programs. It's pretty basic. And so that's kind of the difference. The overall advantage, of course, is with modern email services, they provide better sorting, better protection, and more control, less time digging through the junk, and then seeing what really matters to you.
Yeah, and it can be important to have the right type of email address. Like you said, if you still have an internet service provider one, you may be limited to some options. You may not get the security and stuff. So, making a switch might be a good idea. We recommend using some of the email services we mentioned. If you don't already have one, or if you have just your one from your internet provider, your Gmails, your Outlooks, Zohos, Protons. We also didn't mention iCloud, really popular for especially Apple users if you have an Apple product. But getting more than one can be a great idea as well. Both Shane and Woody mentioned, like, you may have one that's personal. You may have one that you set up an email account that's mostly you use for advertisements and logins for stuff that's quote unquote less important. And then you may have a separate email account that you use for logins for your banking, your credit cards, your kind of more quote unquote important or stuff that needs more security. You may have a separate email because having separated emails, just like I said, make it more secure. And then changing your logins to your new emails. If you do replace an email, it can take time to, I got to change my Facebook login. I got to change my bank login. I got to change it. It can take a lot of time to update all those to your new email. We recommend not deleting your old email address until you make sure you get everything moved over, which can take some time. You may forget about some. And then if you quote unquote, delete the old one, then you may not be able to log into your, whatever account because you don't have that email anymore. So it can be a good idea to keep them both for a while. Like I said, it's no harm in keeping multiple emails at a time either. So kind of to wrap up, email services are not just regular inboxes. Now they're kind of your intelligent communication platforms. They're kind of your digital identity in a lot of ways. Choosing the right email service is important for security, organization, general peace of mind. Having a neutral email service, through a third party like a Gmail, Outlook, or whatever, can give you a lot more freedom than having one tied to your specific internet provider in case, like I said, you move or want to change providers. And a lot of those internet provider emails can get outdated and won't have the security features or the functional features that you may want or need going forward.
That's right. All right, well, that wraps up the talk on emails today, but I do want to remind people that next Thursday on the 19th, we are going to have a Dreaming of Streaming event in Paynesville at the Green Roof Community Center. It starts at 5:30. If you have questions on this topic or anything else, give us a call at 693-3231. Catch the replay on Facebook and YouTube. Search for Vibrant Broadband, and of course, listen here live every Wednesday at 10:30 on KLFD. Thank you, Jeff, for having us.
You bet.
Thank you, audience, for listening. My name is Shane.
And I'm Nathan.
Tune in next week for another Vibrant You Live.
Speed with vibrant service. Vibrant broadband internet. Vibrant broadband internet.